need some more water. Water is life. The better your water, the better your life. And we're going to fill up our little glass with some pure filtered water. Yes, we are. Because we're drinking a lot of water these days. Woo, looky right there. Pure, filtered, aerated, full of oxygen, and what have you. Drinking water, straight from the tap. Let's give it a taste. Yep. Whew, that's mighty good. Yes, it is. Boy, that old filter looks rather strange. You can tell it's doing something. It's taking something out of that water, and that's a good thing. Yes, it is, because I've got to be drinking my water a lot more these days. Oh, well, hello there, friends and family. So good to see you again back in the old country kitchen. But we're not cooking up anything today. Well, we will be later, but not right now. Like always, we're glad you stopped by. You're always welcome. And we thank you for all that. So hey, I just thought I would share with you, since I was doing one of my chores that I have to do sometimes, and that was changing out the filter in my little water faucet filter. You may have one too, or maybe you've got something way much better, like one of them reverse osmosis systems, which are better still. Or maybe you got a Berkey, or whatever your preference is. Maybe you'll let me know in the comments below the video and why you chose what you did. I've got a Berkey too that I keep for emergency use. I've also got a Brita pitcher in the fridge, but then I also got this, and I know it's not the greatest, and I've done my research. I even read my water report from my new municipality. Yep, that's hard to pronounce sometimes. Anyway, after reading that, our water system didn't have any violations, and I would suggest you get a copy of yours and read it too. Or if you're on a well or a spring, that should get at least tested every year. And if you're not doing that, things can change. But whatever filter system you use should be based on your water source. And that's why I picked the one I did after reading my water report. Well, let me show it to you. It ain't much, and I'll tell you why. So what we have here is a water drop faucet water filter. And basically what this particular brand and type of theirs does is it removes chlorine, turbidity, rust, and it also reduces some lead. It doesn't eliminate it. And what you might not know, if you're concerned about lead, is most of them don't. They remove a certain portion of lead, and you need to see if the filter system you've chosen, whether it's on your faucet or in a pitcher or even a reverse osmosis system, actually what percentage it removes. Because I'm telling you straight up, it doesn't remove it all. I even checked into one of the leading brands, Simpure, and I can show you on the screen if you'd like to. Maybe we'll step on into the computer center and I'll show you just what the leading brand of reverse osmosis systems actually says. They remove from the water too. I made my choice and I chose the water drop. It wasn't that expensive. It was within my price range. And like I say, this was all based off reading my water report and seeing what I should be concerned about and what I should not. So here's the filter I just took out right here, and here's a new one right beside it. You can see quite a difference. In fact, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can see this one looks rust colored, and that was one of the main reasons I keep a water filter on my faucet. I live in one of the oldest sections of town. Old piping, a lot of copper, a lot of cast iron water pipes, and they rust, and I wanted to get that out, and you can plainly see it's doing that. Also wanted to remove any turbidity which can also be from rust, but it can be from organic matter from soil runoff. So that was important to me too, and then I wanted to improve the taste, and these are activated carbon filters too. If you don't know, that will definitely improve your taste. And then, like I say, it does reduce lead levels somewhat. Does it remove them all? No, it does not. But according to my latest water report and all the years past that I've read them, our lead level is extremely low. So that's what I did. I chose the water drop. This filter is good for 320 gallons. And that too is dependent upon your water source. It may go longer, it may go less. It all depends on the source. You need to check into all that. But yeah, since I was doing this little chore today to improve my water quality, not that it was bad, I thought I'd share it with you. Now, let's go take a look at my water municipality system's water report. And we'll also look at one of the leading brands, Simpure reverse osmosis systems, and see what they take out. And here we are back at the Computer Command Center. I'm glad to have y'all with me today. And you can see we're looking at the 2023 Annual Water Quality Report. Testing was performed January through December of 2022 for the Tallahassee Water Works, right here in my little small town in the deep south of Alabama. And we are pleased to present to you this year's Annual Water Quality Report. We want you to understand the efforts we make to continually improve the water treatment process and protect our water resources. We are committed to ensuring the quality of your water. And something to note here is the people who work down at our water department live right here in our community. They use the water, and so do their families, their children, their grandparents, their uncles and aunts, and what have you. And it tells us here the number of customers is approximately 2,500. Our water source, of course, is the Tallapoosa River. We have a storage capacity of 2,250,000 gallons. And they give the treatment techniques. They disinfect, flocculation, pressure sand filtration, pH control, fluoridation, but we'll talk a little more about that. Also treat the water with chlorine dioxide for disinfection, byproduct control, and copper sulfate for taste and odor control. And as you can see by the table below, our system had no violations. We have learned through our monitoring and testing that some constituents have been detected. We are pleased to report that our drinking water meets federal state requirements. This report shows our water quality and what it means. Now I know right now some people are saying, well, I don't trust these requirements by the federal or state. But I have to say, we're a lot better off today as far as the quality of our drinking water if it's monitored and tested right. And I know things happen and have happened in certain areas of the country that were very bad, downright illegal and criminal too. But that's not always the case, and that's why I like to read my report, and if I'm even a little bit suspicious or worried, I'll pay for an independent test of my water. And I have done that here too in past years. It ain't cheap to get a full-blown water testing report. But if you're worried, I would suggest that you do that too. So, the things they test for is chlorine. There's no violation. Level detected, there is chlorine in our water when it comes to our tap of 1.3 to 2.7 parts per million. Water additive used to control microbes. Total organic carbon, no violation. 1.10 to 1.5 parts per million, and that's from soil runoff. Turbidity, the highest that was recorded, was 0.28, and that's from soil runoff. Barium, which is tested in all water systems, was found to be 0.01 part per million. And it comes from discharge of drilling waste, discharges from metal refineries, and can also come from erosion of natural deposits. And that's something to know wherever you live. Be aware of what's happening in your watershed. What's around the source, what's being dumped in, because that's going to affect the source of your water that you're going to need to buy a filter to filter out. And it goes into copper. I'm not going to read through all of these. You can stop it and see. Of course, it's got fluoride in it, as we discussed, 1.2 parts per million. And fluoride can also be erosion of natural deposits or a water additive which promotes strong teeth. Yeah, well, we all know our thoughts there, and we'll leave it at that. It can also be from discharge from fertilizer and aluminum factories. And that's one thing I'll say around this area. Agricultural activities have really waned and slipped off. Other than growing grass, some cattle, and some cotton, what have you, we don't do as much as once was surrounding the city. And then another concern is nitrates. There was 0.2 parts per million. And of course that's runoff from fertilizer use, leaching from septic tanks, sewage, and erosion of natural deposits. And if you're living in a high agricultural area, I would be concerned about nitrates in my drinking water. And I'd want a filter system that would take them out. And then it goes into trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. And those are just both byproducts of drinking water chlorination. Unregulated contaminants that they test for is chloroform. And this often shows up in springs and wells as well. That's why I would suggest you test in your well water or spring water. If you're using rain catchment, I would check for that too. So they found 11 parts per billion. And that's from naturally occurring sources, industrial discharge, or agricultural runoff. And then they checked for dichloromethane. And that was 1.8 parts per billion. Naturally occurring industrial discharge, agricultural runoff. Secondary contaminants they checked for is aluminum. There were no violations. As you can see, there were none through the whole report. But they found 0.02 parts per million. That can be from erosion, treatment with water additives. Chloride, 5.8 parts per million, naturally occurring industrial discharge or agricultural runoff. And the reason I'm giving you the causes for these different things that they test for is so you can think in your mind what's around your area. Check where your water comes from, and then look what's being made, produced in the area surrounding it that affects your watershed and your water source. Then they look at the hardness, which was 12.1 parts per million, naturally occurring from water treatment. Yeah, in some areas, I think they treat it with lime, and that raises your hardness level of your water up. Then they check the pH, which is at 6.4. That's neutral, naturally occurring in the environment. Sodium was 11.2 parts per million, naturally occurring, industrial discharge, agricultural runoff. Sulfates, 6.1 parts per million. Here again, that was from naturally occurring sources, industrial discharge, and agricultural runoff. And then total dissolved solids was 66 parts per million. That's from erosion, treatment with water additives. And that can be, your total dissolved solids can be everything from organic matters to rust and what have you. And then they go down here talking more about the trihalomethanes and your total haloacetic acids, which here again are both byproducts. So see, it's reading this report, and yep, it comes down to whether you believe it or not. But if you don't believe it, I would suggest getting an independent water test straight from your tap and send it off before you make a decision on what you need to buy. But hey, let's look at what's considered the optimum in-house system for water purification from one of the leading manufacturers and brands of reverse osmosis systems. So let's take a look at SimPure and see what they say they take out. Now we're on the SimPure website, and like I say, they're one of the leading manufacturers of reverse osmosis systems, and you can see one right here. This one in particular is their SimPure T1 400 alkaline, 400 gallon per day, 8-stage tankless reverse osmosis system with remineralization, alkaline plus UV. It's got it all, and it's one of the best. Now, I'm not affiliated with SimPure in any way, and I don't own one, but I have a good friend, Rudy, the Alaska prepper, who is, and I think he's even got a code that he puts under his videos that can save you an extra, I think it is, either 10 or 20%, so check them out if you're considering one of these. But the reason that I don't have one is because I don't feel the need. I feel just the filtration I'm doing suits my need based on my independent tests of the water out of my tap and reading my water system, even talking to the water system employees from time to time. But right now this is on sale. It's down from $369 to $349. That's a whole lot more than my little water drop, which is under 19 bucks. Yep, is this the ultimate system you could use? Yes, it is. But does it take out everything that's important to us? Let's check it out. So we're going to scroll on down here, and right here they're going to tell you some of the things, not all of the things, that they take out. And we talked about PFOAs, that's those forever chemicals, which there was none found in our water system in 2023 and years beyond. But if that's a concern to you, and there's been a lot of talk about forever chemicals here of late, this particular SimPure reverse osmosis system takes out greater than 98.2%. Here again, lead's a big concern with most folks. Greater than 96.6%. TDSs, not sure what that is, but it's 95%. You'll have to look it up. Fluoride, 99.7%. Arsenic removes 99.8%. That's real important. But what you need to know is arsenic is naturally found in many soils and in higher concentrations in some areas than in others. You can look that up too. Then it takes out chromium, which is a heavy metal, not good for you, greater than 98.7%. And like I say, if you're worried because you're living in a densely agricultural area with a lot of farming around you, is nitrates. And that SimPure reverse osmosis system says right here, greater than 99.9%. And then of course, barium, 99.9. So yeah, but when I read my water report, barium was what? 0.02 parts per million, extremely low to begin with. And if I remember correctly, so was the nitrates too. So I didn't feel the need to go with a full-blown reverse osmosis system to be safe. And one thing I know about the little old water drop is it produces good tasting water, which is important to me. In fact, I've been drinking water through a faucet filter through that tap for most of my life. And you know, many might say, well, and I'm sure one will, well, you know, Mr. Tom, you got prostate cancer now. Maybe you should have done better with this. Yeah, well, in hundreds and hundreds of hours of reading, I still can't find any claim that they know what causes prostate cancer to date. They say may, might, could be, but none are willing to bite it off and say this is what causes it. So there's that. I do the best I can based on looking into the circumstances. It's just like this, my water source. and anything I should be concerned with. Initially, I too was speculative of the water report, so I took a sample and I sent it off for a conclusive sample complete report. And I pretty much found the same report that the municipality report said. So I dropped my concerns. Of course, that can change any day of any week of any year, and we all know that. But my advice to you is, depending on your concern and your worry about all this, and you might say, well, I don't trust the tap water even if I filter it with whatever is out there, and I can understand that. So I buy bottled water. Well, you might want to check into that, because bottled water comes under a whole different testing standard, and it too may not be as clean as you thought it is. So whatever your bottled water preference is, in my mind, I would test that too. And plus, it comes in a plastic bottle. So there, if you're worried about those forever chemicals, which primarily a lot of them come from plastics, there's that. And again, one of the number one leading pollutants in our environment is plastics. And the one that tops the list is plastic bottles. They're everywhere. You can't go in the woods, you can't walk down a creek or stream without finding many, many of them, as we've all seen. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring to you and share with you and get your thoughts. So, there it is. And hey, I gotta run. It's getting close to supper time. So I'm going to say, as I always do, from all of us, me and the kitty crew, you know them all. Spooky, which is doing better. He's starting to put a little weight on his foot. Of course, it being Memorial Day, the vet was closed. But no fear, we'll get him there tomorrow. Cleo, and of course Speedy. Sometimes Heathcliff, and Major Fluffy Muffin too. And of course there's always the princess of the house, Gracie, which is asleep on the couch. See y'all on that next episode and video of Mr. Tom's Neighborhood. Y'all take care. Stay safe out there. And may God bless each and every one of you as you've blessed those in your lives. Take care. Do the best you can with what you got. And remember, we all love you for stopping by and doing what you do. Goodbye for now. Yeah, I need to go fill up on water. All this talking sort of gets the old throat dry. Yep, quality of water is the basis of life. Oh, later all.